Jagger and Richards were both jailed, briefly, in the summer of '67. And for the next 10 years they were drug charges, usually involving Richards. In 1977, in Toronto, Richards was charged with trafficking in heroin, but given a suspended sentence and told to continue his treatment to cure heroin addiction. Since then, he says, he's given it up.
Keith had not gone to jail in 1978. He had decided to change his life. He was free to resume his music career. That meant him joining the Stones tour in support of some girls in America.
Keith, something kind of special has happened in your life here in the last few weeks or months.
I mean, you know, I hadn't seen my father since I left home when I was 18, 20 years. And
you've known him 18 and not known him for 20.
That was the thing. It was quite right that I realized that I'd suddenly been away from him longer than I'd ever been with him.
Keith talks in Life about his fears before the reunion. I asked Ronnie to come with me to Redlands to be there when I met my dad again, for the first time in 20 years. I was scared to meet him because of what I'd done in the meantime. That's why it took me 20 years to get around to it. In my mind, I was an absolute reprobate to my father. The guns, the drugs, the busts, the shame, the degradation for him. I had humiliated him. That was my thought, that I'd really let him down. Every headline that had hit in the goddamn newspapers, Richards busted again, made it even more difficult for me to get in touch with my dad. I thought he was better off not seeing me. As the lyrics show, like the prodigal son, it seems Keith had been too ashamed to reconnect with his dad.
But by the time I'd realized I hadn't seen him for 7 or 8 years, I was kind of too leery of getting back together again, you know, but it actually has been fantastic, you know.
Did you have to go find him? I mean, was there a search involved?
No, I knew where he was. He's in the same house that I left when I was 18.
The realization that saved Keith Richards in 1978 was that the monster he had wrestled for a decade, his drug use, had almost cost him his life as a musician.
What's the role of each guy?
Keith is the leader. He's the heart.
In stark contrast, a decade earlier, in '68, music had been his overriding obsession. He talks eloquently about his passion for recreating the sound of his blues heroes. There was a lot of country and blues on Beggar's Banquet. By then we were thinking, hey, give us a good song, we can do it. We've got the sound, and we know we can find it one way or another. If we've got the songs, Keith explains. Stray Cat is a bit of funk, but the rest of them are folk songs. The body of work was not to smash you between the eyes. This was not heavy metal. This was music. The period before Beggar's Banquet, 1967-68, was a fertile and happy period for Keith through exploring old blues tunings and songs. I'd been experimenting with tunings for quite a while. I wanted to try to go back to use what a lot of the old blues guitarists were playing and transpose it to electric, but keep the same simplicity and straightforwardness. That pumping drive you hear with acoustic blues players, simple, haunting, powerful sounds. At the end of Prodigal Son, father and son are reunited, with the father forgiving his son's misdeeds. Similarly, Keith returned to the fold of the Rolling Stones in 1978, and in an echo to the song's lyrics about the son's fears about how he would be received at home, Keith was finally able to be reunited with his family, after conquering his doubts about his father's affection for him. Interestingly, what emerges from this period of his life is that Keith, despite his worldly success, was motivated by his fear that he had dishonoured his father. Through his love of music, he found the strength, the passion for the instrument again to conquer the most ominous time of his life. As he said, "I could kick smack, I couldn't kick music." To support the channel, like, share